Alright, let me look at this question. It's taken from CXC 2018. Yeah, so this is how you know which year. So you can look at the bottom of the paper. So this is CXC. The F, this means the May June. And if you see the F, it means that it's May June. So it's taken from May June paper 2018. So we'll work this question. It's based on bearings. Alright, quickly let us go through the diagram below, not drawn to scale, meaning that if you go and measure this angle, if you use a protractor, you will not get this as 42 degrees. It can be more than or less than 42 degrees, so it's not drawn to scale. Shows the relative positions of three reservoirs, B, F, and G, all on ground level. So all of this is on a flat level, B, F, G. Good. The distance BF equal 32 km, so here is 32 km. FG equal 55, so F to G is 55 km. This little symbol represents angle BFG. Okay, whenever you are given it like this, angle BFG, meaning that it started B, it is actually telling us about the middle angle, which is angle F. So BFG. So that's this angle F actually. So that's the middle one. Is 103 degrees. And F is on a bearing of 0.42 degrees. Remember I said bearings is written in 3 digits. So that's why we have 0.42. F is on a bearing of 0.42 degrees from B. So it started B. So you see we have a starting point at B, the north line. So from B, draw there. I don't know why they didn't put in the 0 there, but it's for, you should have a 0 there, a 0.42. Okay, so this is the diagram. In this question, the diagram is drawn for us. Some of the question we'll have to draw this diagram or make a sketch of the diagram. Alright, let us go to the question. The first question is say determine the bearing of F of B from F. Determine the bearing of B from F. So since it's a from F, we are starting at point F. And since we are starting at point F, what we need? A north line. So what I'll do now, I'll draw a north line. North line should be straight up. Good. So here is the north line. I put N there to represent the north. And good. So the bearing of B from F. So let us see which line connect B and F. So here is B, here is F. So this line here will connect B and F. So we need to get this bearing. The bearing start from the north line in a clockwise direction. That's the bearing we need to have. Alright. We know from here to here is actually 103 degrees. So what we need to know is from there to there. Right? So because we want to find this entire bearing, what I'll do, I'll project this north line. Project it. Good. If I project this north line, notice we have another north line here. So the angle that is formed between this north line and this line will be equivalent to this one at the bottom. So from here to there will be 42 degrees. And this here is a straight line. And we know that as from here to here is a straight line, right? Angle on a straight line. So you know from here to here will be 180. So the bearing will actually equals to 180 plus 42. Because from here to here will be 180. Okay, let me just write it there, 180. And then plus this 42. So the entire bearing will be 100. Okay, 180 plus 42 will give us 122 degrees. Good, so that's the first question. Let us, okay, so here the question was 1 mark. Not a lot of space. We don't need all those space to work in. Good, so by doing that, adding those two, you get 122, you'll get 1 mark for that. Okay, let us move on to the next question. This particular bearings question had 3 questions. Number 2, number 3. Number 2 was going for 2 marks and number 3 was 3 marks. Here it's telling us that we need to do something extra to get that 3 marks, so there's 2 marks. Alright, what this question say? Calculate the distance BG given your answer to 1 dp, 1 decimal place. So we want to find this distance BG here. Alright, I will not draw back the diagram, so what I'll do, we'll use the same diagram. So we want to find this BG here. Opposite B will be small b, opposite G will be small g, opposite F will be small f. So we want to find for BG, which is F, so we'll use the F formula. So I write F square equals to, the other 2 letters is B and G, right? So I write BG, B square plus G square minus 2BG cos F. All we need to do now is to substitute the values from the question and put them in here and use our calculator. So looking at the diagram, we know that B is 55. So what I'll do, I'll go through this quickly since we did this before. Minus 2BG, 2 times 55 times 32 times cos F, that's the angle. So this angle is given to be 103 degrees. So we put 103 there. We can work all of this at once on the calculator. So let's see what we'll have. 55 square plus, no, I put times it, 55 square plus 32 square minus 2 times 55 times 32 times cos. So always double check because never know, you might enter a wrong figure. 103. Always ensure that your calculator is in degree mode. Good, so we have a big number here, 4840.828. 828 if we round off, right? It's good to write this part to 3 decimal place. Good, and what I'll do now, so F square is equal to all of that. You leave this answer in the calculator, so it will save you some time to type it back. Now we'll square root our answer, so I square root that. What do I have? 69 point. The question asks us to write the answer to 1 decimal place, right? So writing this to 1 decimal place will be 69.6. 69.6 what km. So I can write BG. We know that F is actually BG, so I just write BG equals to that. I leave a line for the answer. Let me just write the answer here, 69.6 km. And by doing that, you have 2 easy marks. Alright, question 3. Calculate to the nearest degree. So what we'll do, we'll round off our answer to the nearest degree, nearest whole number there. The bearing of G from B. The bearing of G from B. From B, meaning that we are starting at B and then we are going straight to G. If we are starting at B, we need to have a north line. Let's see if we have a north line here. Yes, we have a north line here at B. So we see that this line connect B and G. So we want to know the bearing of G from B. So we start from the north line and we want to know this bearing. That's the bearing. Alright, so far we know from here to here is 42. If we find this angle in here, we can add that angle plus the 42 and that's how we get the bearing. Good. So let us try work that. What I'll do, I'll just make a little sketch of this triangle here. You don't have to be the same. So here's B, that was what? F, B, F, G. Good. At all time they will use B, C, D. They can use the letters mix up. Okay, here was 32 km. Here was 103 degrees, 55 km, and we just found here to be 69.6 km. I want us to find for this angle. We can use cosine rule or we can use sine rule. I'll go ahead and use sine rule. Good, so we want to find for angle B and we are given angle F. So the formula will be b over sine b equal f over sine f. So it will be b over sine b equals to f over sine f. Why we're not using sine g? Because we don't know angle g. So this is the one that is given, and this is the one that we need to find first. So that's how we use those two. So that's our formula. The hardest thing to figure out the formula. If you get the formula, all you need to do is just substitute the values into the formula, use the calculator correctly, and you should have the correct answer. Okay, so b, we know that opposite here, b is equals to that, g equals that, f equals that. Good, so everything looking good so far. So b is what, 55, so that will be 55 over sine angle b, which we don't know as yet, equal f, which is 69.6 over sine f, which is 103. Alright, everything good so far. Next step, we can cross multiply. So it will be, since we want to find sine b, we write that on the left hand side. So it will be sine b times 69.6 equal 55 times sine 103. Now let's see if we write sine 103 times 55, no problem. Okay, what I'll do, I'll transpose, I'll take this across, it will divide, right? I want to find for angle b. So first thing, I'll take this number across. Since it's multiplying here, you're going to divide. Then I'll take the sine across. It's sine here, it'll be sine inverse. So b, angle b, whenever you're having angle, the angle always being capital letter. The sides is what we put in common letter. So whenever you see the capital letter, you know that's the angle. Sine inverse, open bracket, 55 times sine 103, all divided by 69.6. And we'll round our answer to the nearest degree. So let's see what this will give us. There are different ways you can work it. First, what I'll do, I put 55 times sine 103 equals that divided by, let me put it down flat, divided by what? 69.6. When you divide, we have that. Second function, sine, that's how we got the sine inverse equal, what do we have? It's 50.4. Okay, since we want to write it to the nearest degrees, 50.4, the nearest will be 50 degrees. So we just write 50 degrees. In brackets, write correct to the nearest whole number, or to the nearest degree. Correct? To the nearest degree. Okay, that's it. And we get 3 easy mark. Oh, no, we're not finished just yet. The bearing of G from B. So what we can write, the bearing of G from B is, let us go back here. So we found this part to be 50 degrees, so it will be 42 plus 50. That should give us 92. 42 plus 50 equals to 92 degrees. That's the bearing. Yep, and that should give us the 3 marks. If we stop here, that's only 2 marks. That will give us the full 3 marks.